came to me in dreams. The first time, she told me she was tired and that she had to go. I knew she was saying she was dying, and I woke to the sound of the telephone ringing and the news that she had passed away. So for me, my grandmother speaking to me in dreams is not strange. It's something I put down to how close we had been. Not strange until now. In all the other dreams we just talked, but in this one she took me on a journey to places from my past. We started at the gate of her old house. "Do you remember coming here when you were small?" she asked. "I remember you taking me across the road to the pub and sitting me on a stool by the piano whilst you played." I laughed, and so did she. My grandmother really could do the whole "you hum it and I'll play it" thing. She couldn't read music, but she made a few bob playing by ear in the city pubs in the 60s. I was her little groupie, with a bag of Smith's crisps and a glass of pop. £400,000 to buy a house here now, she sighed. When your granddad and I lived here, everyone in the street was living hand to mouth. I smiled, but more than happy. The pub's gone. She shook her head. Everything's changed, but the memories are good, aren't they? Great memories, Gran. She nodded. Here too? Her old road was gone, and now we were standing on the busy pavement outside what had been the Happy Landings pub. That's the thing with this dream. We don't travel. We just are where we are, and then we are somewhere else. Do you miss this? I asked. Gran smiled. Oh, I miss living. So would you. You used to like coming here on a Sunday when your granddad and I lived over the back. Shame things have to change, I nodded. But they do, said Gran, and we were standing on the harbour side, with the city centre in one direction and the river leading out to sea in the other. I still remember the harbour of the past. Rusted rail tracks, potholed roadways, with derelict warehouses and sheds, a shadow of the great seaport it had been. Now it glitters with trendy eateries, bars and museums, overlooked by expensive apartments. Some change turns out well, though, doesn't it, Gran? That's true, she nodded. The harbour's a bit like you. Started off poor and scruffy and turned into something quite smart. But is it finished? I wanted to ask her what she meant, but before I could, we had moved again. A train rumbled under the bridge we now stood upon. To my right, my childhood home stood on the other side of the lane that led to the bridge. It looked much the same as it had when we left it nearly 50 years ago. But everything to my left on the other side of the bridge was very different. I had grown up with open fields, but they had long since been built upon. I focused my attention back on the house and remembered our first night there. The trains had woken me over and over, and I wondered if I would ever get used to it. But before the first week was out, I stopped being woken by them and never remember being disturbed again. So many memories all at once. But then I blinked, and she had taken me somewhere else. Now we are outside an old police station, except, of course, it's now a school. There are no more police stations left, said Gran. You liked this one, didn't you? She was right, I had. I'd spent 30 years in the police service and had worked out of there in the 1980s. The days were full of shoppers and tourists, and the nights full of students and the trendy. But nothing in the area changed as radically as the park when the sun set. In the daylight, people ran and played, had picnics, flew kites, walked dogs. But when night fell, the families melted away, and robbers took their places. And men hid in bushes, waiting for other men, doing the things that people do in the dark. You remember the crazy old lady? Gran asked. I frowned. How do you know about her? I couldn't remember ever telling her about the old lady who lived in a big house near the park. She would call the police to say she had intruders, and when I arrived she would insist I could only walk on folded sheets she had laid as a narrow path through her rooms. She would tell me never to touch the walls because she believed they leaked gas. And then she would point to her intruders, invisible people climbing her stairs, invisible to me, but perhaps not to her dog, turning its head as if watching someone going up. She passed away just like me, said Gran. I see her from time to time in the place where we are. Where is that? I asked. Where are you when you're not here with me in dreams? Gran shook her head. If I tell you, you'll come. I don't want you there. I touched my heart, feigning hurt feelings, but she didn't smile. Why are we here, Gran? Why are you bringing me back to all these places? She frowned again. Can't you see what I'm trying to show you? No. You will, she said. Come with me. We have one last place to go. The police station was gone, and we stood in a garden I didn't recognise. At first it seemed to be all trees and flowers and lawn, but then I heard laughter, and the space was filled with all of them. My children. Their children. Older than they are today, but immediately recognisable to me. My son had grey in his hair I had never seen before. The self-assured smile on his face was new as well, one he didn't have today, but I was pleased to see it would come. My daughter was older too, and her girls no longer children. They stood at their mother's shoulder, just as beautiful and just as tall. My son's children were young adults, and though that was not possible, I didn't question it. I simply marvelled at the people they had grown to be. And then my wife was there. I knew it was her even before she turned and smiled at me. Like so many times before, I wondered how I ever got that lucky. Where are we, Gran? I said. She winked. I think you know. It's the future, I said, trying to drag my eyes from my family to my grandmother. But what are you trying to tell me? She sighed. The past has its distractions, but it's only the future that matters. I'm happy with my past, I said, and as I did, a faint rhythmic beep began to sound, though I couldn't tell where it came from. Fine, she said, but don't just be satisfied with what's gone. Be desperate for more to come. Promise me you will always be desperate for more to come. I looked back at my family, and then the promise came easily. How many years in the future was I seeing? I didn't know, but in that moment I knew I wanted more than anything that what I was seeing could be more than a dream. The beeping sound began to get louder, but Gran pulled my attention back to her as she took my hand and squeezed it. I'm going now, she said. Then, before I could answer her, the garden and everyone in it faded away. She too was gone, and all that was left was the darkness and the beeping sound. I knew the dream was over, so I opened my eyes. I was in a hospital bed, and I saw I was connected to a spaghetti of leads and lines. My heart was registering as a rhythmic beep on a monitor. I have no memory of the accident that put me there, but they say I've defied medical science to recover. Of course, I won't ever tell them about Gran and my dreams, but now I understand she probably did as much to save me as any of the doctors. I'd thank her if she came to me in a dream again, but she hasn't. Maybe she will one day, but in the meantime, perhaps there's nothing more important she can tell me.